The weekend is nigh. That means it's time yet again for a Friday edition of Bet. I'm Tyler Fulghum. She is Anita Marks, and we have a jam-packed show to send you into the weekend, hopefully with some winners. The Bear, Chris Fallica, going to drop by Anita and chat U.S. Open tennis preview, both the men's and women's draw. We're going to talk about our favorite Friday MLB bet, and we'll dive into the whole bevy of football this weekend, whether it's fake NFL football or real college football games. We'll touch on it all. A reminder real quick before we get started, like always, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. Most of you probably are already subscribed there, so good for you. If you haven't done so, join your friends and join the fun. I guarantee you'll like all the betting, wagering content you get, not just from this show and these faces, but all of the shows and faces here at ESPN. All right, Anita, are you ready for a Friday edition of Bet? Ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
All right, we're going to start on the diamond. Okay, we got a busy, full Friday night slate in Major League Baseball. It's not Diamond Dollars. It's just our favorite baseball play or plays of this Friday. I hear, Anita, you have a particularly AL Central-centric look at today's MLB slate. Lay it on me.
I do, and I know it was supposed to be one play, but there's a plethora of them that I like, so let's break them all down. I've got 3 for you today, and the first one is, of course, the White Sox. First 5, -125. Why? You've got Cueto, who's on the bump, 213 his last 7 starts. Meanwhile, you've got a rookie pitching for the D-backs, and he's only averaging 3 strikeouts per game his last 3 starts. Then I like the Minnesota Twins on the money line. This is a must-win game for them. Again, I think they win the the pitching matchup here with Joe Ryan on the bump, 281 at home. And last but not least, might be my favorite play, and that's tonight. That's the Guardians, not of the Galaxy, but of Cleveland, going up against Seattle. Again, big pitching matchup here for Beaver on the bump, 1.62 ERA and 5 quality starts. Meanwhile, Gilbert, no bueno his last 5 starts, almost an 8 ERA his last 4 starts, and he has not been great at home. So I've got 3 plays for you tonight.
All right, not surprised, you going above and beyond with 3 plays on the slate. I have just 1 play, but it's got 3 legs. It's a same game parlay, Anita, for the Yankees in Oakland against the A's. I like Garrett Cole to earn the win. They're obviously the Yankees, a massive favorite on the road against this A's team. And then the other 2 legs are kind of leaning into the Yankee offense getting to J.P. Sears. J.P. Sears under 15.5 outs recorded, so he cannot go over 5 innings pitched. He can go 5, but he cannot go over 5 innings pitched. Then under 3.5 strikeouts. The Yankees offense, especially now that Giancarlo Stanton is back, you immediately see the dividends he pays. They had a great night last night against the A's. And Sears, J.P. Sears, is a pretty good real-life pitcher, but I think some regression is coming because he's not a high strikeout pitcher. He doesn't miss bats, and that is dangerous against this Yankee team, not missing bats, because if you don't, you might run into the barrel of a Giancarlo Stanton or an Aaron Judge, and if you do that, they'll hit the ball 450 feet or 115 miles an hour off the bat. So I think Garrett Cole will be Garrett Cole against a pretty feckless and pretty punchless Oakland lineup. He may give up a solo home run or 2, but he'll get his 7, 8, 9 strikeouts and go 6 or 7 innings. And I'm trusting that the Yankee offense, especially now with Stanton back in the lineup, gets to J.P. Sears, knocks him out early, and does not strike out more than 3 times. So 1 play, but 3 legs in that Yankees-A's same game parlay. All right, as promised, Anita, let's welcome our good friend into the show right now as we pivot from the grass of the diamond to, well, now the hard court. It's not Wimbledon. It's the hard court of Flushing Meadows and the United States Open. It's our good buddy back in the Bears' den, Chris Fallica, the Bear, joining us right now. We're going to talk about both the men's and women's draw here at the United States Open. Bear, I want to start on the men's side. Daniil Medvedev won this tournament a year ago. Of course, no Novak Djokovic then, no Novak Djokovic now because of his vaccination status. Medvedev is the favorite in this event because Joker is out. He participated last year, I should say Joker did, but he's out this year. So we have Medvedev installed as the favorite. When you look on the men's side and see the names that are atop the odds boards, Is Medvedev the way you want to go as the favorite, or is there someone else a little bit further down the list you think provides gamblers more value?
And I'm going to look to fade Daniil Medvedev here. Obviously, he beat Novak Djokovic last year in that epic final to eliminate Novak for winning the calendar slam. He blew a big lead to Rafael Nadal in Australia early this year, and he hasn't been the same player since. I know he had been a little injured, but and he had the socio-political stuff going on where he wasn't allowed to play Wimbledon. His game has not been clicking at all cylinders this year. He's someone that I'm looking to fade, mainly because he did not get a very good draw at all. He would have to play Nick Kyrgios in the round of 16. There's some other players in that draw that are very, very capable of beating him as well. So I'm looking to avoid Daniil Medvedev. And the two players that I'm looking at, unfortunately, are in the same draw, but I still think they offer a value. Number one is Jannik Sinner, who is someone who is advancing further and further in slams as he gets more experience. With the coaching change with Darren Cahill now, he's getting better and better. He looks like he's ready to break through here at some point. And the other one is Borna Coric, who is someone who has always had a power game. He had some shoulder surgery, and we have seen the velocity on his serve pick up incredibly. He recently won an event. I think he lost 1 point on his first serve in the semifinal in a big win. Blew out Stefanos Tsitsipas in the final. He's someone with his serve on this court with these balls has an ability to make a deep run as well at a nice price.
All right, somebody who does not look like has a great seed as well, or path to make to the championship, the finals, is Serena Williams. Now, this very well could be her last U.S. Open. Odds for her to win are 50-1, but if she wins her first match, she then has to go up against the number 2 seed. So, Bear, how are you playing Serena Williams, if at all, in the U.S. Open?
It'll be a match-by-match situation for myself in terms of playing Serena. She should win her first match against Dr. Kavinic. But if you look at her draw, I know you see a lot of seeds there, and you see Anita Kontaveit is the number 2 overall seed. But Anita Kontaveit's best surface is kind of like a hardcourt indoor. That's where she made a lot of her hay and built up a lot of rankings points earlier this year. So she's a vulnerable 2 seed. You see Barbara Krejcikova, who has been injured most of the year, and she is not in form. Martina Trevisan, who's a clay court specialist. So there are seeds in front of Serena. Look, I don't think Serena will reach the quarterfinals, but it would not surprise me if she did win a couple of matches, build on the emotion of the crowd. You know the crowd is going to be totally behind her in New York. Now look, Anita Kontaveit could also just hit her right off the court if her game is on. But at the same time, I wouldn't give Serena absolutely no chance against Kontaveit in the second round.
All right, Bear, let's stay in the women's draw, where over the last 5 or 6 years, you've been far more likely to see long shots or first-time winners at Grand Slam majors lift the trophy at the end. Emma Raducanu fit the bill at the U.S. Open last year, and even her opponent in the final, Leylah Fernandez, was kind of a long shot. So is there anyone on the women's side of the draw at 40-1 or longer that you think has a decent chance to win, whether it would be their first Grand Slam major victory or not?
I think Qinwen Zheng, who was as high as 80-1 a couple of weeks ago, and her price, I believe, has come down to around 50-1 or so, is someone certainly to watch. The 19-year-old, I believe she made the quarterfinals at Roland Garros earlier this year. She is in Iga Swiatek's bracket, but at the same time, Iga's game is not as good as it's been. Iga's had been very outspoken, as well as Paula Badosa. Ash Barty have been about the tennis balls and using lighter tennis balls, which really don't make their game. But at the same time, Zheng is someone who made a nice run at Toronto. She made a couple of nice runs in some other hard court events. She's got a great serve. She can keep it in the court. She's someone who I think at a big number could really throw a monkey wrench in this tournament.
All right, Bear, let's talk some real money. And that is, who are you betting Axel Foley's inheritance on to win this thing in the women's division?
Well, I'm writing him out of the will right now, being that he's in the other room with my wife and not paying attention to me on the on the floor here. So we'll find someone else to leave the inheritance for. But as I said, I am going to leave Iga Swiatek. I'm going to be exposed on her. I think the way, like her game, she was unbelievable winning the 37 straight matches earlier in the year. But her, Paula Badosa, Ash Barty, before her retirement, talked about the difference in the tennis balls and how they hit a very, very hard tennis, hard velocity, a lot of top spin. They have a lot of trouble controlling these lighter balls, which are different than the men's balls that they're playing with on the court. So they want to play with the same balls in order to be able to have similar control, which would help their games, but they're not getting that. So I think that's a little bit in Iga's head right now as well. So I'm looking at 4 players that I'm going to play, and hopefully one of the 4 will potentially win. Coco Gauff is someone who looks like she is on the verge. She got blown out by Iga in the Roland Garros finals, but she has been playing better and better in the hard court season. She looks like she's about ready to break through. So she's someone I'd be looking at. Simona Halep recently won in Toronto. She made the semifinals at Wimbledon before losing to Rybakina, who wound up winning the event. I think Simona Halep on this surface with those rallies is someone that I would like to have a ticket on. I had mentioned Qinwen Zhang at 50 to 1, 80 to 1, the number that you can get her at. You might be able to play yourself into some profit if she does make a run. And then the other player that I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer on is Karolina Pliskova, is someone who hasn't won a slam, but on the hard court, she was out most of the year with I believe it was a wrist injury or a hand injury, and she's come back, and the last couple of matches she has played, her serve looks very, very good. It could be a massive weapon on these courts at Flushing Meadow against some of these players. If Pliskova's serve is on, this could be the time where maybe with the bracket that appears to be wide open, she might be able to make us run well. So I think if the winner comes from one of those 4 players, I'll be a happy person.
You know, I'm kind of shocked to hear that bears and cats are kind of feuding in the Fallica household since Axel Foley is with Mrs. Bear. You know, usually bear and cat Axel get along really well, but now that he's written out of the will, actually, you know what? I bet the cat, Axel Foley, wins against the bear, Chris Fallica, far often than the size difference would suggest in that particular household. Is Axel Foley a mama's boy?
100%. 100. He is undefeated against me, that's for sure. Spoiled. Very spoiled.
Well, we hope you and Axel can, kind of rekindle the good vibes there. But say hi to Axel for Anita and I when you are done here. Before we let the bear go, though, usually, before we let you go here, we give you one last thing over the weekend. But before we let Bear in particular go and try and mend fences with this cat, Bear, we want to give you one last opportunity here to share with the viewers a Week 0 college football. College football counts this weekend, baby. And I know that you've been on ESPN platforms talking about the Fighting Illini in this Week 0 matchup, but you were too vocal about that because too many people have taken your advice and they've been steamed up to 2 touchdown favorites against Wyoming. So are you still willing to lay that type of wood, or is there another game now that you're pivoting to since that price has gotten outrageous?
Yeah, being that I've already got it at 10, I mean, I can't. If I already laid 10, I can't lay 14. I do think the Illini will win, though. But I'm going to look at Charlotte. Getting 7.5, I believe it is, against FAU. Charlotte was a team coached by Will Healy. Return a lot of guys on offense, including the quarterback Chris Reynolds. Defensively, they had a ton of problems. Last year, FAU blew them out. I believe it was like 38-10, somewhere around there. And that was really where Charlotte's season went downhill. Struggled defensively, but at the same time, FAU kind of mirrored that season as well. After that win against Charlotte, they couldn't stop anybody, made a whole bunch of changes on the staff. Todd Orlando is now their defensive coordinator. Offensively, they've got a lot of transfers to kind of plug and play and see if that works. But I think laying 7.5 might be a little bit too many in this opener. I'd be very interested in taking the points tomorrow with the Charlotte 49ers.
All right, Bear, thanks for hanging around a little extra, talking not only U.S. Open tennis, but Week 0 college football. He is the Bear, Chris Fallica. Enjoy your weekend, brother.
I will. Take care, everybody.
All right, Anita, it is now our turn to graduate to the NFL level. These games don't count, but you can still win money. It is the final weekend of preseason action before the games do kick off in a couple of weeks. We got 4 games that we want to look at on the Friday NFL preseason slate. Let's start with this one. Bills Super Bowl favorites preseason against the Panthers. Got a new quarterback there in Baker Mayfield. Carolina, 6.5-point favorite. Total of 40 for this 7 Eastern kick tonight. How you playing this one, Anita?
Yeah, listen, this Bills team, they are just so deep. I like the over here tonight for a number of reasons. Even though we're not going to more than likely see Josh Allen, they still have Case Keenum, 16 of 18, 192 yards and a touchdown his last go of it. Then Matt Barkley, both of them combined, 71 NFL starts. And then the Panthers, we are going to see a little bit what's being reported, a little Baker Mayfield, a little Sam Darnold, and then the third string P.J. Walker come in and score some points as well. Carolina's defense, no bueno, not great. Gave up 350 yards to the Pittsburgh Steelers in their last preseason game. So anyway, I like the over here. I think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game tonight.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick a side. Just too many points to not like the Buffalo Bills. I mean, anytime I see a preseason game over 3.5, 3.5, I look and I'm interested. And the Bills are a deep roster. They do have backup quarterbacks with NFL experience. I don't trust Darnold and or Mayfield that much. I don't think they're that great, and I don't think they're going to play, 3-4 quarters. So I'll take the 6.5-point head start, especially since the total's only 40. That gives me more confidence in the underdog to keep it close. So just on principle, preseason, 6.5, unless it's the Baltimore Ravens, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Unless it's the Ravens, 6.5 points, I'll take the head start on the scoreboard. Second game to look at. Chargers and the Saints. In this matchup, the Saints are a favorite. This is now dropped from a field goal under that. It was 3 earlier in the day. It's now minus 2.5. Very low total of 36.5. Anita, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers in the points here. Listen, neither of these teams have looked really good in the postseason. And as we know, the Saints, with the injuries, I don't believe that we're going to see Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton. There's a chance Andy Dalton might have to start week 1 for them. I think we're going to get a lot of Book. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was 37 of 50, so that really doesn't do a lot for me. I think we're going to see a lot of the 2s and the 3s trying to compete for a starting job. And the Chargers, man, defensively, they need to start looking better. This is a defense with a lot of hype and a lot of excitement coming into the regular season. Also, they've got to limit the penalties. I think this is the get-right game for them. So if I could take the Chargers with the points, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, completely understand that. I'm looking at the total here because it is low. It's 36.5. I did some research. We've seen 35 preseason games played thus far, including the 2 last night. 22 of them, or 63%, have featured at least 37 points. So that's 63% have gone over this threshold of 36.5. Now, neither game got there last night. But again, that's just a little bit too low for a couple of offenses and and depth charts or rosters that I trust. I mean, as you mentioned on the Charger side, Chase Daniel's a guy who has been in the league for a zillion years. New Orleans, even though Sean Payton is gone, has an offensive infrastructure there that they can lean into. So, again, on principle, too low. Given the trend we've seen, 63% of games has featured at least 37 points or more on the scoreboard this preseason. I will go over in this matchup. All right, Seahawks and Cowboys. Another game we want to look at here. This is another one with a pretty big spread, and we understand why Seattle's laying a touchdown. It's because the market knows that they have 2 quarterbacks that are still competing for the starting job. Teddy Bridgewater, or Geno Smith, I should say, and Drew Lock. So Dallas is catching 7, a total of 38. Anita, how you want to play this one?
Yeah, this is a lot of points. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in the points. Why not? As you said, you've got the quarterback competition that's brewing in Seattle, but who else is going to start, right? Like, Penny's not going to start. We know Walker is out. I don't anticipate DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett to play. And let's be honest, their defense is horrible. Gave up over 400 yards to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a previous preseason game. Meanwhile, for Dallas, I don't know about you, I love me some Cooper Rush. Family's going to be in the stands rooting him on. And if you go back to week 8 against the Minnesota Vikings, he passed for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's not chopped liver, as Mama Mimi likes to say. So I'm banking on Cooper Rush. I think the Dallas Cowboys have the better defense. And in special teams, man, they've been lighting it up in the postseason. So give me the Cowboys in the points.
By the way, I know that saying, not chopped liver, is old and it comes from a different generation, but I mean, chopped liver's not bad if you do it right. Chopped liver and onions is a very good meal if it is prepared correctly. That's all I'll say. I don't mind being chopped liver or having it sometimes. I'm with you here, Anita. Again, principle, 7 points for a game that has a total of 38. Way too many points. I think the market is grossly overvaluing when we hear that the two guys that are in contention for a starting job are going to be playing preseason snaps. Well, the reason there's a quarterback battle in Carolina and in Seattle is because these quarterbacks aren't that good to begin with. So I'll take the 7-point head start in a game that features or is expected to only feature 38 points. Just way too many, unless you're the Baltimore Ravens. There's our exception. There's our caveat. I'll take the 7 points on the scoreboard there, a head start. Final game I want to look at, Josh McDaniels and his Raiders taking on his old buddy Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Now, this was a pick'em, but recently some money has moved Vegas to a 2-point favorite. Again, another low total of 36.5. Anita, how you playing this Belichick Bowl between the Raiders and the Pats?
Yeah, I like the Patriots here. These two teams have been practicing for the past 2 days. And I think the Patriots have an advantage. We know how competitive Bill Belichick is. He doesn't want to lose to Josh, who worked with him for 18 years. I think we're going to see a lot of Stidham and Josh performing. I don't know how much we're going to see Carr. Keep in mind, this is the 4th preseason game for the Raiders. I think they know what time it is heading into the regular season. I think they're ready for their preseason to be over. I don't know if we're going to get any Mac Jones tonight, but I'll tell you who I do like, and that's Bailey Zappi. That's right, 378 yards. His last go. I mean, this guy, he's so fun to watch, and I think we're going to get a heavy dose of him. We might get some Brian Hoyer as well, who knows this offense extremely well. He's been with the Patriots for a long time. And more so, this is the final warm-up, per se, for the Patriots, more so than the Raiders. So give me the Patriots here.
I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I just told you 63% of games have gone over 36.5 in this preseason, and I see a low total here, and I'll just jump at that trend. I mean, it's preseason football. There's not too much you can pull, but 36.5 is very low. A special teams touchdown, a turnover, just makes it so easy to get over that threshold. Again, even though both games went well under this last night, I'll trust the trend throughout the preseason that 63% have gone to 37 or more points. And I'm told it's the New England Patriots versus the Las Vegas Patriots of the desert. That's the proper way to frame this specific competition we'll see in the preseason. New England Patriots and the Las Vegas Patriots of the desert. So 4 games to look at on the Friday night NFL preseason slate. All right, let's get to one game we'll see this weekend featuring the Bucs and the Colts. But before we dive into that with our picks, let's check in with Bucs reporter Jenna Lane.
Thanks, Tyler. Bucs quarterback Tom Brady showed no real signs of rust this week, coming off an 11-day absence. He looked locked in and focused during practice. He didn't appear to be distracted in any way. His accuracy was good. His conditioning looked fine, although I did notice that he took several more trips than usual to the air-conditioned cool-down tent. Although luckily for him, this game is indoors, as are the Bucs' first 2 regular season games. The big thing is the Bucs want to see him stand behind that remade interior offensive line. Luke Gadicki, the rookie out of Central Michigan, will get the start again this week at left guard. He struggled last week against the Titans. That position still hasn't been decided, though. The Bucs also want to see Brady's chemistry with new additions like Julio Jones, who will make his preseason debut. Mike Evans will also play, as he was finally cleared from a hamstring injury. We won't see Chris Godwin yet, though. Although he progressed to 11-on-11 work this week, he still hasn't been cleared for contact.
Well, Jenna, you are welcome for the toss, and thank you for the great whip-around report there and some really good insight into what Todd Bowles and the Bucs, I should say, are doing with Tom Brady in this final preseason tune-up. Expected to play, Anita. I know how you feel about Tom Brady's fortunes this season with the injuries on that offensive line. First, real quick, just are you surprised to hear that Todd Bowles wants to see him play behind the offensive line in a game that doesn't count, that may still need some time to get its footing?
I am. I'll use the word shocked, because what we're hearing out of the Colts, and by the way, my play here is the Colts. I'll lay the point, because what we're hearing from the Colts is that their starters more than likely are going to play the entire half. So with that being said, you're going to have Tom Brady, who missed 11 days playing behind a makeshift offensive line against a Colts starting defense for a half. I'm a little shocked by that. Once Matt Ryan takes the bench, Nick Foles comes in for the Colts. Gotta like him. He's looked great in this preseason as well. As for the Bucs, again, Brady, we'll see how much playing time he gets. As we know, that offensive line makeshift. A lot of injuries here. You've got Mike Evans and Russell Gage dealing with a hamstring issue. So I think we're going to see a lot of Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert. So I really like the Colts tonight. This might be my favorite play.
Yeah, I also agree that it's a little alarming or kind of raises your eyebrow like, whoa, I did not expect to hear that Tom Brady, despite missing time for personal reasons during this training camp, is going to be in the game. I mean, hello. The Bucs can win the Super Bowl with these offensive line injuries. The Bucs cannot win the Super Bowl if Tom Brady goes down. So in a game, again, that doesn't count. Why take the risk? But Todd Bowles thinks he needs to get some work, maybe get the chemistry with that offensive line and how he wants to make calls and set up protection. So I can see some logic there. I just don't know if the risk is worth it. I'm going to stay away from the side. I'm going to attack the total, and I've been talking about overs and overs and overs so far on this show, but 41.5 to me seems like a little bit on the high side, and I wonder if the market got inflated, if the total got inflated, because we heard Tom Brady was going to take some snaps. So you're thinking, wow, well, then there should be some points on the board. It's Tom Brady. 41.5, when I would, even hearing what I heard, imagine he only plays 1-2 series at the most. I'll go under 41.5 in this particular game, even though I like the over for those others that were down. I will say 4 or 5 points less than this 41.5. That's significant in preseason football, that delta. So I'm going under here, 41.5 with this one. All right, that's our final look at games we will see tonight on Friday. But we still have more preseason football, including those Baltimore Ravens that have been very, very lucrative for you, the better, during the preseason. If you look to the rest of the week and beyond Friday, Anita, is there any other preseason bet you want to share with our viewers right now?
How many times you're going to mention the Ravens on this betcast today? I don't know. I should have played the over before we started the show. But the one game that I'm looking at is the Giants. As you know, I'm here in New York, so I've got my finger on the pulse of both the Giants and the Jets. They had a joint practice yesterday. And by the way, this game used to be called the Snoopy Bowl because it was MetLife Stadium, and so whoever won would get a Snoopy trophy. And Rex Ryan made it real serious. And I think a little of that has still it's bled over into this rivalry of the teams here in New York. So I think both teams are going to put their best foot forward. I do believe the Jets are going to play more starters longer than the Giants are. But listen, Tyrod Taylor, Davis Webb, no chopped liver either. Nothing to balk at. These two quarterbacks have been looking great at practice and great in the postseason as well. They've got a solid offensive line. I think the Giants are going to put up some points here. And like I said, the Jets, I think we're going to get a heavy dose of Joe Flacco. The Jets need to see what they have in him before he starts week 1 against his former team, the Baltimore Ravens. So I like the over here. That's my play.
All right, taking note of that. You mentioned how many times I'm going to talk about those Baltimore Ravens on this show. Well, I'm going to do it one more time, Anita, because they are looking for their 23rd straight preseason victory. They have not lost in the preseason since 2016, or 15, I should say. So they're 20-2 ATS. They get the Commanders tonight, and they are laying 6, which is a lot. I said on principle, I should say Saturday. It's Saturday. Regardless, this weekend, you're going to see if the Ravens have the opportunity, or you're going to see with that opportunity if they can make it to 23 straight wins. Now, they're 20-2 ATS. Their point differential in these 22 games, Anita, is plus 288. So they're averaging a win by more than 10 points. I said before on principle, laying anything above 3.5 in preseason seems dubious to me, except this one exception. So I trust John Harbaugh and his staff. I trust that front office and the roster that they have put together. I'll lay the 6. Blindly bet it against the Commanders, who don't really inspire much confidence in me preseason or regular season. I'll see if the streak keeps going. 23 in a row, 20-2 ATS. The Ravens laying 6 Saturday against Washington.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw!
Edgar Allan Poe somewhere is smiling in his grave. You got a good cacaw, by the way, Anita. That's a pretty good cacaw.
I lived in Baltimore for 4 years.
I hope you have a wonderful weekend, Anita. I hope all you out there have a great and lucrative weekend. We'll see you back here Monday or better.